I mentioned, any golfer who rotates, if we rotate, we're going to get these hands working out in front of us. That's very normal. If I retain the same relationship between my hands and my chest, but I turn my chest, my hands come with me. So there is an element of risk involved where we want the hands to lower, but we don't want the body to stall as we do it. So I don't want you to be up here and then it's like, oh, keep the back to the target to drop the hands in, because then the problem is your body's stalling and you're going to have to flip at it. And then the second you try rotating the body, the hands are going to get right back to square one and you're not really getting better, right? So we don't want to compromise the body in an effort to try to keep the hands to lower. So we can't just like keep the back to the target longer, because it doesn't necessarily work. All it's doing is delaying your rotation of your body, which I think the sequence of your rotation is already quite good. It's the hands themselves that are the problem. I also don't want you to go up here and then feel like you're pulling the hands down, because the problem is if we go up and then we pull our hands down to try to keep them in, a lot of times in doing that, you're going to see the lead wrist work into a cupped position quite often, which is going to open the club face. We're going to see if we pull down, a lot of times the trail arm can get stuck behind the body, and that can not only keep the shaft very steep, but it can also create a lot of disconnect now where I'm not going to be able to control my low point well anymore. There is a lot of risk involved in how we try to get the hands lower. There's a specific way to go about it. So without pulling down on it and without just stalling the body, which the second you try to get the body to rotate, they're going to be back to square one and it doesn't help long term. The best solution that I have found is we're going to go to the top of the backswing, right? And obviously the top of the backswing now is this flatter, better arm structure that you have. And from here, I want you to feel like you are unwinding the trail arm like a bicep curl. So what does that mean? It means if I stand up and let's say I'm holding a dumbbell in my hands and I'm doing a bicep curl, right? Just like a workout in the gym. Well, there is the lifting of the weight. That's where you're actually working the muscle. And then there's releasing the bicep curl, which is obviously extending the arm, right? Downwards. When we are coming down in the downswing, I want you to feel like you are releasing this bicep curl. So what is that going to do? Well, if I stand here and I go to the top of my backswing and I just do this with my trail arm, and all I do here is I release this bicep curl, right? Down and behind me. What you're going to see is, number one, I'm lowering my hand path. So as I'm here and I do this, if I release this bicep curl this way, I'm going to lower the path of my hands instead of them working so aggressively outward. Number two, I'm not doing it at the cost of my trail elbow or at the cost of my wrist angles, and I'm not just pulling down and steepening the club. You can see if I'm here and I release that bicep curl, I'm actually shallowing this club even further as I lower the arms. So I'm not compromising my wrist mechanics. I'm not compromising my trail arm where I'm getting the shoulder internally rotated, right? So now we're fixing not only the path of the hands, we're not sacrificing other areas at the same time. And if I do that move as the body's opening up, I can actually keep this club in a shallow position, and I don't have to keep my back to the target to try to lower the hands, where now I'm going to have to flip at it to save it. Where in that situation, the second we try to rotate our body, we're right back to square one. So what we're learning to do here is we are learning how to change the path of the hands without compromising our trail arm structure, without compromising the club face or the wrist angles, without compromising the pivot, and we can actually get these arms to lower while the club shallows, and I can still get my body to open up and not have the hand path work out in front of me. So again, think of a bicep curl, think of releasing the bicep curl, think of lifting the weight up. We want to think about the releasing portion downwards, right, where we're extending the arm, and that motion in transition is going to help us to lower the hands down towards the trail pocket here, and it's going to allow us to not only influence the hand path more down and not so much out, but keep the club and the arm structure in a shallow and good position to allow us to then rotate through the ball. So you get to the top, you feel this unwinding of this arm, and then we try to blend that in, obviously, in one move with the actual golf swing at the same time. It's going to feel a little bit weird. You might put a little bit of stress on the shoulder joint. Over time, it'll get more comfortable to you. So you can start it off with just one-handed swings if you want. You go up, you pause, unwind the arm as we're turning, unwind the arm as we're turning. Try to blend those two together, and then you can obviously try to hit some shots where you pause at the top and then feel that as we come through this golf ball. You're going to see how well I shallow the club every single time when I get there, okay?